Unfortunately, the news is real. GTA 6 has been delayed to November 2026. But there's a bigger picture here that I don't see enough people talking about. That's not only threatening GTA, but it's threatening the entire gaming industry. With union busting allegations coming fresh out of Rockstar Games, this video is going to be talking about the human cost of GTA 6. Hey everyone, it's the Caped Clinician, and I'd just like to extend a really heartfelt thanks to all of you. We've just hit the 250 subscriber milestone. I'm blown away by all of your support, and I've loved talking to all of you in my comments about comic books, games, superheroes, and everything in between. And if you'd like to join me for this journey, feel free to like this video and hit subscribe if you enjoyed. So what happened overnight? Well, Take-Two Interactive, the parent company of Rockstar Games, but also other game developers like Gearbox Software, had their quarterly earnings call. Now this is an exciting time for gamers because we often get updates on our favourite games and how far they are into development. But unfortunately, the news for GTA wasn't so good. The game was delayed from May 26th, 2026 to November 19th, 2026, which is a really substantial delay. Reaction online has been understandably angry and negative. People on Reddit lamenting the fact that Rockstar don't seem to be able to narrow down a specific release date for GTA 6. People lamenting the fact that they won't be able to miss work in May, and they won't be able to play GTA 6 along with next year's World Cup. On my end, I was sitting in my lounge with my girlfriend, and when the news broke, we just breathed a sigh of disappointment. I suppose it wasn't terribly unexpected news. We hadn't heard anything from the game in a long time, but another delay just pushed it that bit further. Now, I'm a medical student, and my intercalated BSc year, which is my 4th year, is finishing the day before May 26th, and I was really excited to be able to play GTA 6 as almost like an end-of-year present, but now it seems that won't happen. So that's it, you might think. Game's delayed, see you in a year, end of the video. But unfortunately, that's not the end of Rockstar's troubles, and this is the bit that I don't think people are speaking about enough. So this is the situation. In late October and early November this year, Rockstar Games fired about 30 to 40 employees, and those employees were fired, in Rockstar's eyes, due to gross misconduct, but the employees themselves say they were attempting to unionize, and Rockstar is performing an act of union busting. So what is a workers' union, and why should we care? Well, a workers' union is a formal organization of workers that allows for collective bargaining between the workers and the employers. Essentially, it's like the workers form their own superhero team. Instead of just having one voice to say, we want better pay, or we want better working conditions, now they have a collective, now they have a movement, and it strengthens the voice of individual workers, ensuring that workers aren't exposed to negative working conditions, like poor pay, hazardous working conditions, and crunch culture, which is rife in gaming today. So what's going on at Rockstar that would make the employees want to unionize? Well, Rockstar has a really big history of crunch. That's the process where, toward the end of a game's development, employees are forced to work unreasonably long hours to meet internal deadlines and push the game out of the door. Now, Rockstar has a history of this, but one of the most famous examples of crunch within the gaming industry is Halo 2. Unfortunately, during the development of Halo 2, Bungie workers endured a significant amount of crunch, and if you want to hear about the human cost of the new Halo remake, you can check out my latest video right here on my channel. I'll link to that at the end of this video. Conditions like crunch can destroy a team's morale, and that's what we're hearing is going on within Rockstar Games. Obviously, all of this is really secretive, but an anonymous employee said that morale within Rockstar Games is at, quote, rock bottom right now. And that's really surprising, given the fact that Rockstar Games are currently developing GTA 6, which is projected to be the highest grossing entertainment product of all time. Surely, if you were developing a product of that significance, your team would be fired up, ready to go, and excited to go to work every day, knowing that they were contributing to something that was going to have a huge legacy, beyond perhaps even their careers at that company. So from the perspective of the workers, this is about crunch, team morale, and overall working conditions. But what does Rockstar have to say? Well, Rockstar left everything a bit secretive for a couple of days before coming out and saying that they were fired due to gross misconduct. They suggested that the employees that were fired, the 30 to 40 members of staff in the UK and Canada, they were fired due to sharing personal confidential documents on Discord, something that they were not allowed to do, and that would compromise the security of Rockstar Games and their game development. So two sides of a very complicated and heated issue right now. We're talking about the difference between Rockstar's need for secrecy to make GTA 6 the best, biggest game it could ever possibly be, smash all the records and sell a truckload of games, versus employee safety, mental health, autonomy and transparency of working conditions and workers' rights. So this happened in primarily the UK. So what does the UK history of game development and UK law say about what Rockstar Games have done to their employees? Have they done something illegal? And what does that mean for the future of GTA 6? Well, first of all, let's talk about unions in game development in the UK. Studio, who is the studio who originally made Disco Elysium and are now going on to make a spiritual successor to that game, they have a workers' rights union. That was the first ever formally agreed workers' rights union when it comes to game development, and that happened within the UK. So there's precedent for game unions within the UK when it comes to companies like Zaum, but Zaum is a much smaller studio than Rockstar Games. Maybe the situation is different. So in this case, we can't just rely on anecdotes and precedents, we have to rely on the law. So what does the law say when it comes to unions? Well, the Trade Unions and Labour Relations Consolidation Act of 1992 says that union busting is inherently unlawful. But what is union busting? Well, union busting is the practice of trying to discourage, intimidate, or retaliate against workers who have attempted to join a union, and that's what Rockstar is being accused of right now. If it does come out that Rockstar dismissed them purely on the grounds of them trying to unionize, and not because of gross misconduct or any sharing of personal or confidential documents, then Rockstar are in serious legal trouble because they would have broken that 1992 UK law. So that's the legal and precedent basis, but why does this actually matter for GTA 6? And why could it mean that the delay is even worse than we thought? This might not be a November 19th, 2026 game, it might even be a 2027 game. But why? Well, it's not as easy as it seems for workers. Even if Rockstar have broken the law, the reality for workers is that the process of proving that is slow and arduous. Workers need to file individual claims with an employment tribunal, and often the compensation they're going to get isn't really criminal, it's mostly financial. Employment in the games industry is very different to employment in other industries, because the games industry employs a really large number of freelance or contract workers. Now, what does that mean in practical terms? Well, it means that they're workers who only come in for a short, fixed period of time, like 12 to 18 months, and then they leave the company. But in terms of the legal fine print, that means they wouldn't be classed as full-time employees ongoing at Rockstar Games. So that's going to make their claims really challenging when it comes to union busting, because they're technically not still employees of Rockstar, and they're not considered employees in the same way that their longer term people are considered. So how could that mean that the game is in a worse technical state than we could have previously imagined, and how could that mean there's a further delay? Well, let's look at precedent again. Halo Infinite was developed using a large number of contract workers. These are workers that were only employed for about 12 to 18 months to develop the Slipspace engine, a bespoke engine made only for Halo Infinite, but they took their valuable skills with them when they left the company at the end of their contract. That meant that the game was a buggy mess, and the studio didn't really know how to use the engine properly, and so adding assets and managing maps and game modes was way more tricky than if they just kept these employees on for the long haul. In truth, we don't really know how many people at Rockstar are contracted freelance workers, and how many people at Rockstar are full-time employees. But the legal debate over union busting is something that's threatening to ruin GTA 6 entirely. Rockstar and the workers are at odds right now. We have one side claiming one thing and another side claiming another. That's going to lead to what's likely to be a messy, drawn-out legal battle, and that can ultimately threaten the progress of GTA 6. If workers are protesting and unhappy, and morale is low, not only is their productivity going to be going down, but the protests are going to mean that the workers are actually not developing the game as actively as they would have been had they been allowed to unionize in the first place. With all of those factors in mind, one thing is clear. The delay to November 2026 might not be the final delay that we get to GTA 6. Now, it seems like Rockstar are trying to parade this as just a delay for technical polish, and I'm not saying that I doubt that. I'm sure that technical polish is one of the most difficult things that Rockstar are trying to handle right now. With such a large expectation put on GTA 6 to be the biggest, best game of all time, Rockstar needs to refine everything down to the last minute detail. Cue that Homelander meme.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
But they want to avoid a cyberpunk situation, which is probably part of the delay. But the union busting allegations and the legal battle with workers is likely to derail this game even further. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news. We might be living in the darkest timeline, and GTA 6 might be delayed to 2027 for factors that you might not have even imagined. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments what you think about the recent delay to GTA 6, your hopes and fears for the game, and let me know if you learned something about trade unions, workers' rights, and UK law. I really love to spotlight the people behind games, because ultimately, the people are what make our games so special. Every little blade of grass, character animation, voice acting, bit of motion capture, that's all done by people. And if we don't talk about it, and if we ignore the workers' rights in favour of the hype for GTA, then I fear we're setting a dangerous precedent for our games industry. We shouldn't just want great games. We should want great games made by great, happy, amazing people. People who come to work fired up, happy and excited to work together on the next big project. That's the only way that we're going to get fundamentally incredible, life-changing experiences like Clair Obscur Expedition 33, developed by Samfall Interactive, which will definitely win Game of the Year 2025. So let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and feel free to subscribe to hear more about the human stories behind the games that you love. See you next time.